Mitch McConnell is still alive, but one columnist in his own hometown newspaper says he couldn't wait to write the senator's obituary. In a blistering opinion piece, the veteran Kentucky journalist described the longtime Republican lawmaker as a detestable figure and argued that history will remember him for two defining choices: his handling of Supreme Court nominations and his role in enabling Donald Trump. Here's why the extraordinary column is making national headlines. The opinion piece was written by Joseph Girth, a longtime columnist for the Louisville Courier Journal, the largest newspaper in McConnell's home state of Kentucky. Girth explained that he deliberately chose to publish what he called a pre-obituary while McConnell is still alive. His reasoning? He said waiting until after the senator's death would inevitably bring criticism from people saying it was inappropriate to speak ill of someone who had just died. Instead, Girth decided to evaluate McConnell's political legacy now, and his assessment was scathing. The columnist described the 84-year-old senator as every bit the detestable figure that former U.S. President Richard Nixon became. According to Girth, McConnell's legacy will ultimately be defined by two major actions. The first, he argued, was McConnell's handling of Supreme Court nominations. Girth accused the longtime Senate Republican leader of using what he described as cynical and hypocritical tactics to reshape the nation's highest court. Girth pointed specifically to 2016, when McConnell refused to allow a Senate vote on then-President Barack Obama's Supreme Court nominee, Merrick Garland, following the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. At the time, McConnell argued that Americans should first decide the next president through the upcoming election. But 4 years later, after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died just weeks before the 2020 election, McConnell quickly moved to confirm President Donald Trump's nominee, Amy Coney Barrett. Barrett was confirmed only days before Americans went to the polls. Girth argued that those decisions permanently shifted the ideological balance of the Supreme Court. He claimed the move transformed the court into what he called a firmly conservative majority and damaged public confidence in the institution. The columnist also reflected on McConnell's earlier political life. He noted that as a young man, McConnell had supported civil rights efforts during the 1960s, but Girth argued that the senator later abandoned many of those positions. He even wrote that McConnell had shown more guts as a young man than he had as an old man. The second major issue Girth focused on was McConnell's relationship with Donald Trump. According to the columnist, McConnell had multiple opportunities to distance himself from Trump, but repeatedly chose not to. Girth highlighted the aftermath of the January 6th Capitol attack. Although McConnell publicly stated that Trump was practically and morally responsible for the events of January 6th, the senator ultimately voted against convicting Trump during his second impeachment trial. Girth argued that conviction could have prevented Trump from holding federal office again. The columnist also cited passages from the book The Price of Power, which reported that McConnell privately described Trump as stupid, ill-tempered, a despicable human being, and a narcissist. Yet, despite those reported private remarks, McConnell later endorsed Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. Girth argued that contradiction will define how history remembers the Kentucky senator. To be fair, the columnist acknowledged that McConnell achieved positive things during his lengthy Senate career. Among them, Girth credited him with helping expand Louisville's Jefferson Memorial Forest, but he argued those accomplishments would ultimately be overshadowed by McConnell's influence over the Supreme Court and his political decisions involving Trump. Girth concluded the piece by writing that he was relieved to have expressed his views while McConnell is still alive. The column arrives as renewed attention has focused on the senator's health. McConnell was hospitalized more than a month ago after suffering a fall and later developing pneumonia. Since then, questions have continued about his condition and his day-to-day Senate responsibilities. His office has released very few details regarding his workload or schedule. Staff members have largely declined to answer reporters' questions about the extent of McConnell's current Senate duties. McConnell himself has not publicly responded to Girth's opinion column. As an opinion piece, the article reflects the views of its author, not the newspaper's news reporting, but its unusually direct criticism and the decision to publish it before the senator's death has sparked widespread debate over how one of the most influential Republican leaders of the modern era will ultimately be remembered.